Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's a little bit different. It's an off week. It's not a learning week, so I thought I would do a quick update on what I'm planning to do for August, and then I'll go ahead and do a stitch with me. Because I haven't done one in a little while, and I tried to do one a couple weeks ago, and it was bad. And that was the week that everything was bad. So, yeah, let's try it again. I think I've got a better project this week. I think I'm kind of in a better headspace. I'm a little bit more prepared. Yeah, so I think I'll give it another try. I'm going to do something a little bit different for August. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I have post-stitch mania. I have probably somewhere between 25 to 30 active projects, and I have a couple others that are in long-term timeout. So I have a lot to do, and sometimes it gets hard for me to decide what I want to focus on. I have a few things that are gifts, although none of them have a deadline. I learned my lesson from the Great Christmas Panic of 2019. There's one that I'd like to get out for Christmas, but it's not. It is not promised to be done by Christmas. It's for my niece. I'm definitely going to give her something else because she's 4 and she is not going to be very interested in a cross stitch right now. But it's a project I'm working on that you'll see in a minute. It's perfect for her, and she's my goddaughter, and she loves this sort of thing, so it's something she can have as she grows up. But yeah, so I have a lot of projects, and sometimes I kind of have choice paralysis because I have so many. I don't know what to work on. I like to try to work on a bunch of different things because I do updates on FlossTube every week, and I don't want you to be bored just seeing, here's the same project I did last week, and I got like this a little square this big much further done. So I try to keep cycling them and try to keep it interesting for you and for me. But sometimes I get that, too much choice can be a bad thing, that sort of paralysis. So I have different ways to combat that. I have my whip wheel, and I have certain projects that, like I said, they are eventual gifts, and so I'd like to keep working on them and kind of cycle them through. But for August, what I want to focus on is stitch-alongs. And it's a good transition month because I have a stitch-along ending. The last release will be in September, and I have a stitch-along beginning in September. So it's kind of a nice place to transition. I'm also way behind on all but 2 of my stitch-alongs. So, yeah, they all need a lot of work. And so this is going to be a time that I'm going to work on them. So my goal is, I still am working on the birth announcement. So there you can see that. I've gotten a little bit further. So this is still going to be priority 1. If I'm going to work on something, I'm going to work on this first. If I have more than an hour, I'm going to work at least an hour on this, and then I can go work on something else. But this is going to be priority 1. You can see I've almost got the middle name all done. You can kind of tell what it is. Yeah, so he's 5 months old today, and I'd like to have this done before he's a year old. That's my goal. That's my goal on this one. So yeah, any day that I have time to work, at least an hour, give or take 100 stitches on this one before I do anything else. Then this month, I'm going to focus on stitch-alongs, and I'm going to run through all the ones I have right now, show you where I'm at right now. As I'm recording this, it's August 2nd. It's August 3rd now. It's after midnight. That's the kind of day I've had. So it's August 3rd. I'm going to show you where I'm at right now on all of these, and hopefully we'll see some good progress on these throughout the month. And then after I'm done with this, we'll go ahead and settle in for a stitch with me. How's that sound? So the first one I want to talk about is the newest one. This one just dropped on the first pattern just dropped on July 30th. And this is from Son of a Stitch. And this is Everything is Fine. It's a stitch along based on The Good Place, which I love that show. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's really clever. It's a lot of fun. So here is my progress so far on release number 1, which is Michael. So I'm working on the bow tie. Take it sleazy. I love it. So yes, this is how far I've gotten on this so far. The cool thing about this, the way that he did it, is that there are going to be 11 releases based on 11 different characters, and you have the option. They're designed to either stand alone, so you could have 11 little hoop framed finishes, or you can have a big one. And obviously I've gone for the big one. So I'll have the, actually there's space for 10 as he's got it charted out. So I'll have the 10 panels around the outside, and then there's going to be a centerpiece. So it's kind of cool that it gave us the option to do it either way. Frankly, I'm too cheap right now to buy 11 little pieces of fabric, and too impatient to cut one big piece of fabric into 11 little pieces. So I opted to get one big piece of fabric. So that is Everything is Fine. And everything is fine on that one. I'm actually it's the first month. I'm still working on the first month. We're right on track. Let's see if it lasts, because it hasn't lasted with anything else I've worked on. I guess I should mention, I have 3 other stitch alongs. If you followed my very second floss tube, I talked about stitch alongs that I was planning to do this year. And you're going to notice that there's one missing from there, and then there's one missing that I've talked about since then. And those are Hooked on Sonics, which is also by Son of a Stitch, and the Stiach Alone. And then I also have the Stiach Along 7 from last year that is also not finished. And those I'm kind of putting on a back burner. Actually, Stiach Along 7 is in long-term timeout just because it's a gorgeous pattern and it's fun, but with all the other things I've got going on, I don't have time to work on it right now. And then the other 2, they're done. There's no new pattern releases, so I'm counting them as just regular whips, and I'll kind of work them into rotation and just work on them when I get a chance. And eventually, the Stiach Alone 7 and some of the other projects that I have in long-term timeout, hopefully I'll be able to bring back out. But with my attention span, who knows, because I keep adding projects. I have the problem. But, you know, what can you do? So yeah. Let's see, what else have I got here? This one's been around since the beginning and has shown about as much progress as it did in the beginning. This is Letters from Hogwarts. I am still on chapter 1. The beginning of July was the release of chapter 4. Mercifully, these are released every 2 months because they're huge. They're awesome and they're fun. Look at this. And it's an eagle. I love it. I'm a Ravenclaw, and I always get irritated because people watch the movies and they think the symbol of a Ravenclaw is a raven. It's not. It's an eagle. Eagle. So it's a lot of fun. It's just really big. And so this is one that I need to set aside time to work on. So that is why, one of the reasons that I chose to do stitch alongs this month is these are just not getting the time that I should be giving them, because I'm like, out there looking at all these other projects I've got to do, and these keep getting bigger. They're not like the other projects where they just kind of stay static. These get bigger every month or every 2 months. Or in the case of the temperature stitch along, every day. And so I've got to try to make some headway and get caught up on these. So that's what we're doing this month. So here's Letters from Hogwarts. Still on chapter 1. Still working on my Ravenclaw banner. Hopefully by the end of this month I can start on chapter 2. Maybe? I don't know. There's still a lot of work left to go on this one. Speaking of the temperature stitch along, this is exactly where it was last week when I showed it to you. The reason being because I usually work on this on Monday and Tuesday. I usually update it so that I'm not doing like a day at a time and just using short little pieces of thread, so that I can have a couple days worth of build up and just kind of work on a row at a time. So tomorrow and Tuesday, this is Sunday night when I'm recording this, I will catch this one up. But this one is basically caught up. I'm usually not more than a week behind. The worst I've ever been behind is 2 weeks, and that was extremely unpleasant to try to catch up. So I post this one on my Instagram every Tuesday. It's Temp Stitch Along Tuesdays. So this one is usually caught up on Tuesday of every week for the previous week. So this one's not really a problem. This one's basically caught up. The other one that is not really a problem is Climbing Goats Designs Wonders of Space Stitch Along. This one is caught up because the releases are mid-month. So the last release was Andromeda Galaxy here in July. So this is caught up for another 2 weeks, and then it will be one that I will probably focus on a lot, because this is the one that ends in September. You can see August, September. This is the one. I'm almost done with it. And it's gorgeous, and I love it. And she's already announced that next year she's doing a stitch. The 2021 stitch along is going to be the planets. So, yay! She's also doing right now a Halloween stitch along and then a Christmas stitch along that's going to start next month. And I can't, as much as I really, really want to, because Halloween is my favorite and I love doing Halloween stitches. I can't. I've got too much going on right now. I need to slow down. And that's probably the first time I've said no to anything, any project that I wanted to work on. So I'm proud of me. But this one is almost done, which is good because September 1st starts Autumn Lane Stitchery's Dark Queen of the Seas. That's going to be a year-long stitch along. I don't have my stuff for it yet, so I can't show you, but they released the color list yesterday, and I pulled the colors, and they're gorgeous. I can't wait for my fabric to get here so I can do a floss toss and just look at it and admire it. But yeah, that one starts September 1st, and it sounds really intriguing, and I really like a lot of Autumn Lane Stitchery's work. I have a couple, if you've seen me work on the Witch's Spell recently, my wish list is basically their entire store on Etsy. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what they came up with. I mean, all they had to say was Dark Queen of the Seas, and I was on board because I really like the mermaid piece. I have a mermaid piece of theirs that is on my wish list, and I really like all of their dark, kind of Halloween, darker stuff. So I am really looking forward to seeing how that one turns out as well. So I got to get this one done so that this frame can be used for that stitch along. This one will end, and that one will begin roughly the same time. This is the one for my niece. It didn't start out that way. I didn't see this and say, I'm going to make this for my niece. It was, I'm going to make this. And then I was like, oh, I think my niece would like this. So wasn't playing favorites. So this is the Grimm's Fairy Tales Stitch Along by Clouds Factory, and yes, I am way behind. This is February right here. The Princess and the Frog, and yesterday August's was released, so I'm super duper behind. And yeah, this one right here is the main reason why I chose to do stitch alongs. Letters from Hogwarts, I'm honestly far enough behind that I am not going to get done before that is, before that one is finished releasing. I want to keep working on it, and I want to keep getting there, but I don't even have the frame done yet. I know that one's not going to be done. So I've kind of resigned myself. This is the one I would like to get done, if at all possible, on time. So this one is going to shift into a priority project. Yeah, it's right in there with the gifts, the things I have planned to make for other people. Even though this technically isn't, I mean, like I said, I was just planning it, and as I looked at it, I'm like, oh, this would look really cute in my niece's room, so I'll probably give it to her. But it didn't start out as a gift. It started out as just something fun to do, and now I'm way behind on it, and I want to get caught up. Because honestly, these releases are not very big. This whole thing here is January and February together. I mean, I literally have just a tiny little bit of vine down here, and then there's some more pink in these flowers, and that's it. This is not a big project, and there's no reason I should be this far behind. So this one's going to be one of my projects I try to focus on, and is the big reason I decided that August was going to be a stitch along month. So I've got all those. I've got one more, and that is the one I'm going to be stitching on tonight. And that is the Avatar: The Last Airbender stitch along. I've been working on this one pretty much all weekend, and I've made some decent progress. Unfortunately, what you see here is all release 1. And so this was released in March, and every section is full coverage. As you can see, I'm starting to fill it in. Every section is full coverage. This is section 1. I expect section 5 to be released at any time now. So we took a month off in July due to personal issues with the designer, but we're back now. And so this one I'm also super far behind on, and I've kind of resigned myself to not having this one done either. But darn it, I want to try because it looks so cool. I don't know how familiar you are with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but if you are, this should look very reminiscent of the opening sequence with the 4 elements. That's what it is. It's so cool. So yeah, this is what we're going to work on tonight. I've got an area over here that is all one color solid blocks, so I don't have to stop and count and cross things out and focus on it. I can just stitch and chat and yeah, hopefully get some stitching done, because that was the problem with the last stitch with me that I didn't actually upload, was that I spent so much time crossing things out and counting and changing thread that I got 4 rows done. Yeah, it was kind of pointless. It wasn't really a stitch with me, it was a listen to me talk and watch the back of my head while I try to count. And oh, my needle fell off, my needle minder. So anyway, this is what we're going to work on tonight. So I have my whip. I have my chart, although I don't need it, because I know exactly where I'm going. And I have something to drink. Unlike the last time I did a stitch with me, this one has a little bit more than caffeine in it. Maybe that'll make things more interesting, who knows. And I have my phone, with my list of questions and my random number generator. So let's go ahead and settle in. Hopefully you've got your beverage of choice, you've got your whip. Take a seat and let's stitch with me. Alright, let's find my number generator. I have way too many. Here we go. And our first question is number 94. If you could join any past or current music group, which would you want to join? Alright, give me a second here while I get started. I had a request to try and make it so that you could see my stitching a little bit better. And I don't know how much the lighting will let me do, but hopefully this is a little bit better than the last time for that. So, if I could join any music group, which one? Can I cheat and not have it be a music group? Because, well, first of all, I can't sing. So I guess the other assumption is that if I could sing and I could join any music group, what would I want to do? And my answer is not really a music group. It is an ensemble. And I would have loved to be in the cast of 42nd Street. It's probably one of my favorite soundtracks. Believe it or not, I've never actually seen the musical, although I know the rough story because they actually put a synopsis in the album notes on the soundtrack. And I'm a tapper. I don't know if I've mentioned that in the past, that I one of my other hobbies when I'm not injured, like I currently am, is that I dance. Specifically, I do ballroom and I do tap. And, sorry, I have a knot. I think, okay, there we go. 42nd Street is probably the soundtrack that I'm most in love with. It's the one I've performed pieces of from the most. I've done Lullaby of Broadway, and I've done We Are in the Money in group performances in formations. And then I've also, when I auditioned for dance company in college, which I didn't get in because I wasn't very good at ballet. I am a tapper. I auditioned with a piece I choreographed myself to 42nd Street, to the title track. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to be in a music group because the singing is not the aspect that I enjoy the most. I've never learned to play an instrument. I've kind of been off and on trying to teach myself to play piano, but not really that with much success. But I'd love to perform in musicals. So, kind of cheated on that one. I didn't really answer it. But that is my answer, is that I wouldn't want to be in a music group. I'd want to be in a musical, and the one I would prefer the most is 42nd Street. Let me get to the end of this row, or yeah, the end of this row, and then I will go ahead and look up the next. question. Probably only going to get 4 rows done this time too, but the difference is this time they're much longer than they were the last time I did this. So, next question. Question number 60. Who would you want to play in a movie of your life? Nobody is going to watch a movie of my life. Seriously. I'm a geek. I'm a dork. I have a boring science job. And what do I do for fun? I cross-stitch and make videos of myself doing it. Nobody is going to want to make a movie of my life. And I don't really mind. Because you know what? It makes me happy. So who cares how exciting anyone else thinks it is? I guess if I had to pick someone, probably Rebel Wilson. Just because, I don't know. I'd like to think that I like to fancy myself funny. Maybe not a comedic genius, but slightly amusing. So I would probably like to have a comedic actress play me. And she just kind of seems to fit the vibe that I would hope that people would get from me. Because let's face it, if we did my life story, it'd be a comedy. Because kind of silly things do happen to me sometimes. I'm sure that some of those stories will come up in future Stitch With Me's. But yeah. I had a coworker once at one of my jobs. Not at my current job, but at one of my jobs a while ago. And she said to me one day, whenever you walk around the corner and I see you coming to talk to me, I get so excited because I know that whatever has happened is completely ridiculous. And your life is so full of drama. And I said, well, honestly, it's because I make it that way, because I'm kind of a drama queen. But yes, it seems like weird things happen to me with some frequency. So I guess that she wasn't wrong. And that is why I think any movie made about my life would have to be a comedy. And so I pick an actress that I think is very funny and that I enjoy, and probably we have some body shape in common. So I would choose Rebel Wilson. And let me get this row done. So the only problem with working large sections is that you have to start out with really long pieces of thread, or else you're going to be changing your thread like every row. And so it seemed like those first rows, when you've got that entire long strand, takes forever to do a row, because now I got to pull it all the way through. And now I got to bring it back up and find the hole and pull it all the way through again. And I've tried the sewing method. I've thought about trying to stitch more in hand, but I obviously need more practice at it because my, no matter how hard I work on trying to keep the tension loose, it always seems like I've kind of like almost sewn it together a little, like there's a little pucker in the fabric where my stitches are. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm imagining it too. Because I'm trying to be very careful with my thread tension and actually holding it flat, and I don't know. That's a topic for another day. I could do probably a whole floss tube on that. So next step, 56. What is the last thing you recorded on TV? Well, I don't have TV right now. So probably, gosh, and it was years ago. It was one of like 3 or 4 things. Because I did have DVR the first few years I moved into this house. And I did use it occasionally. There were certain things that I DVR'd, and I probably around the same time DVR'd all of these things, so that's why I'm not going to, that's why I'm going to list them all instead of just picking the one that I think was the most recent. Because honestly, some of them I probably DVR'd all in the same week, and the only reason the one was last was because it aired last. But I would always DVR Doctor Who when I had BBC America. And I DVR'd I really like the Arrowverse, although I'm probably a season and a half behind on all of them right now, if not more. Because season 6 of Arrow was really painful, and I don't think I ever finished it. I think I finished the rest of that year for all of the other shows, so it would have been like season 3 or 4 of The Flash and season 2 of Supergirl, maybe? I don't remember. And Legends. Like, I think that year I finished everything but Arrow. And then I didn't watch the following year at all. Because I was behind on Arrow, and since they all intertwine because of the crossovers. So you don't really, the most you can really watch is a half a season of anything, because then by the time they get to the crossover, you have no clue what's going on unless you're up to date with all of them. So everything kind of stalled there, and I just never got back to it. But I did DVR the whole season. I used to DVR all of the Arrowverse shows. It was before... So it was, can't talk tonight. It was Arrow and The Flash and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. So I used to DVR all of those. And then the other thing that I DVR'd was Supernatural. And that's another thing that I'm like 2 seasons behind on. And I really need to catch up because the last half of the last season is gonna be premiering in the fall, so I kind of gotta get down to that and get it finished. But anyway, like I said, that was all about like maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I last had a DVR. The rest of the time I've been watching those things. I've been watching them on Netflix when they come out. or Hulu or Prime, or in the case of Doctor Who, I just go ahead and buy the season on iTunes so that I can watch it. So it's not really a good question. I haven't really had a lot of good questions today, have I? Because I don't have anything capable of recording TV. Okay. Next question. '68. Well, I'm staying in the 60s today. Boy, another hard one I can't really answer. What is your favorite movie? This one could take a second. I might need to think about it. There isn't really a movie that I go back and watch over and over and over again. I mean, I have DVDs. But I don't even have a DVD player hooked up to my main television, if that tells you how often I watch them. And the same thing, like, I've been accumulating recently most of my movies on Apple TV, or Apple Movies. I think the one I've probably watched the most often, or the most frequently recently, has been Into the Spider-Verse. But I don't think I'd call that my favorite movie. It just happens to be one that I'm in the mood for recently. I really like the Marvel movies. I don't go really for drama, like serious movies. My friend was making fun of me shortly before the pandemic hit and nobody could go anywhere. I went over to a friend's house after the Oscars and I watched Parasite, since it won Best Picture this year. And the friend that I watched it with was kind of making fun of me because we pulled up the Oscar nominees for like the most recent 10 years, like not the winners, the nominees. And I had seen maybe 3 of them. 3 of the nominees in the last 10 years. And predictably, they were like the year that one of the Lord of the Rings movies got nominated and Black Panther. And I think she dragged me to see La La Land, which I hated. So yeah, I don't go in for serious movies. I like things that make me laugh. I like the superhero genres. I love cartoons. I love animation. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a huge child. But it's great because it brings me and my niece and nephews closer. We like the same things. The last time I was home, my 7-year-old nephew and I sat and watched Avatar like all afternoon. And it was quite the bonding experience. So, yeah. I got completely off track, didn't I? Favorite movie? Do I have one? Oh, I also like musicals. I think there was a period of time where if you would have asked me that question, I would have said My Fair Lady, with Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison. I do love that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, though, so I don't know. Guess it depends on how you define a favorite movie. Because if it's something that you watch ad nauseum, there is literally nothing. But I had My Fair Lady on VHS. If you want to date if you want to try to age me, on VHS when I was in college, and shortly after I graduated college, and I watched it all the time. That was the movie that I watched. Walked around the house singing it. I could probably sing all of the words to all of the songs right now. I won't, because I can't sing. I don't know, there's just so many good movies out there, it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I also really like Moana. I don't have it, but I really enjoyed it, which is good because I babysat my 4-year-old niece when she was 2. I babysat her for a week while her parents went on a vacation, kind of a delayed honeymoon, and all we watched all week was Frozen and Moana. And it's a good thing that I like those movies because I saw them so much. I went in to the week having seen Frozen once, and I came out with every song memorized. And I went in having never seen Moana, and I came out with having every song memorized. So yeah, I watched it a few times. Once or twice. So yeah, My Fair Lady, probably, I don't know. My Fair Lady or the recording of the theatrical production of Newsies probably would be a tight run for my favorite musical. I think Moana or Frozen would probably be my favorite animated show. In comedies, I don't know. And for superhero movies, probably Spider-Man Far From Home. It was really good. Either that or Doctor Strange. I loved Doctor Strange. I own that one, and I watched that one like on planes and stuff. That's my go-to that I download to my iPad when I know I'm going to be on a plane or a long car ride where I'm not actually the driver, which doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I guess you'd probably say that that's actually my favorite. I really enjoyed Far From Home, but I don't actually own it yet, so probably like Doctor Strange a little bit better. So that was a lot of babbling to say that I don't have a favorite movie. And that's the answer to that question. All right. I think this is my 5th question of the day, 33. And that's how many total I did last time. 33. If you could go back in time, what year would you travel to? Excuse me. I don't know. 2020 itself aside, I think I've lived in a pretty good era. I mean, I've always loved to read stories about Victorian England and the pioneer days here in the United States. Like, I cut my teeth on the Little House books. That was really the first serious set of chapter books that I read. And I love the style of like the 40s, the 20s and the 40s. I love the clothing styles and somewhat the 50s. But there are problems with every generation if you're talking about going back to a different era. First of all, I'm a girl. And through most of time, my options would have been quite limited to things that I'm not really that into. So I say as I do what's considered a very feminine hobby here. But no, I'm into science, and like I went to law school, and I love my job, and I just things that historically in those time periods that I like to read about weren't really open to me as options of things that it was okay for me to be interested in or okay for me to do. And then you get back to like Victorian England and time around there, or the pioneer days around here, and you're talking no electricity, no running water, no toilets. No, thank you. They're fun to read about, but I don't think I'd want to. I don't think I'd want to actually have lived them. I don't think I'd want to go back there. So I think if I had to choose something, I would probably choose to go back sometime within my own lifetime. And I'm thinking like my college years. So late 90s up through like the early 2000s. Like right when I was in college, right when I was graduating from college, that late teens, early 20s phase. Because I think, I don't know. And I've been really nostalgic for that time lately. I've been listening to a lot of the, I've been listening to the 90s pop station on Pandora at work lately. And so it's kind of got me nostalgic. I'm hearing all these songs and I'm remembering what I was doing when these songs were coming out. And like I remember being at this party or at this cross-country meet or this high school dance, hearing these songs or and I think that period of time is just, I think it's a charmed life that we don't appreciate a lot if you're in a position where you're where I was, which was I was on an academic scholarship, so I didn't have to work. I did work to earn, but it was to earn spending money. I didn't have to worry about like finances. I didn't have to worry about, medical insurance. My parents were still responsible for me, but I was kind of on my own because I was living away from home. So it's kind of like, having the training wheels on. Getting to go out and learn to be independent without having to worry about what happens if you screw up. And it was just a fun time. And I kind of wish that I would go back and enjoy that more. Particularly, I don't know. I don't know if I had this conversation, if this was in the last recording I did, or if it was in the one that I deleted. But at one point I got asked a question about regrets. And I don't think I have any huge ones. Like, I don't think there's any major things I would go back and change. Because I believe that I might not be, I like where I'm at right now. And I like where I'm going, and I don't think that either of those things would be the case. Even the unpleasant parts kind of shaped where I am today. Like, I could go back and say, well, I wish I would have avoided this or that, but I would not have ended up, you know, sitting on this futon with the job I have and the life I have and the hobbies I have and the attitude I have without all of those things happening to me. So when I say I'd like to go back, it's not to go back and change anything. Although I'm kind of curious to see what would have happened if I changed some of those things that ended up being kind of quote-unquote wrong choices. Or things that led me to more pain than I thought they were worth at the time. But more to just, you know, youth is wasted on the young. Go back and appreciate it more and enjoy it more and worry a little bit less. And be a little bit more adventurous. Back when I had that safety net. So, yeah, that is what I would do. That is what I would choose. Late 90s, early 2000s. Go back and be young with the wisdom of all the experiences that I've had since then. So I cannot see one of the problems with this video. Oh, I've been talking a long time. One of the problems with the way I've got this set up is I can't see the timer on the top. So I just now realized it's been like 50 minutes that I've been talking, and I'm really sorry. This is super long. Anyone who has stuck with it this long, as opposed to my normal closer to 30-minute projects, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and end it really quickly. Here's where I got, like I said, almost 4 full rows, but they're a lot longer than the rows that I got on the one that I didn't record or didn't upload. So yeah, there's where we got tonight. Thank you for spending almost an hour with me, listening to me babble. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.